drift into the embrace of a force so constant we often forget it is there. On the surface, it is simply the gentle hand that keeps you in your bed. But beneath this ordinary feeling lies a vast, ancient mystery. It is an unseen power that never sleeps, a tireless engine that guides the planets and bends the very fabric of time. It hums through the cosmos, a hidden realm holding everything together. If you enjoy these quiet journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, just settle in. Let the weight of the day drift away. Allow your eyes to grow heavy and surrender to the pull. Let us begin. Gravity is a curvature of space-time caused by mass. It is not a force that grabs you. It is the shape of the universe itself. Think of your body resting on a mattress. Your weight creates a valley in the fabric. The sheets slump toward you. This is how the Earth sits in the dark fabric of space. It bends the void. You are caught in this gentle slope. You slide toward the center of the world. The ground stops you. It all chew up. You are pressing against the planet. The planet presses back. It is a constant, silent embrace. Even your eyelids feel this pull. They want to close. They want to follow the curve of the Earth. In this sense, we see that you are not separate from the world, but held securely within its deepest geometry. Objects in orbit are continually falling toward the planet. The moon does not float. It falls. It moves sideways so fast that it misses the ground. It circles us in a low, silent drop. This pull reaches across the emptiness. It touches the oceans. The water rises and falls in a slow rhythm. Your body is mostly water. Perhaps you feel this tide within you. The blood moves in your veins. It follows the same ancient laws as the sea. There's a rhythm to your breath. There is a rhythm to the waves. Gravity guides them both. It is a tether that never breaks. It keeps the moon close. It keeps the water in its bed. You could say that the universe is a dance where no one ever touches, yet no one ever lets go. Every object with mass attracts every other object in the universe. This law has no exceptions. The walls of your room pull slightly on your skin. The book on the shelf pulls on the dust in the air. You are pulling on the Earth. The planet is vast and heavy. But you are here too. You pull it upward with the same force it pulls you downward. It is a tiny invisible tug. But it exists. You are anchored to the room. The room is anchored to the house. The house is anchored to the stone below. Everything is connected by threads of gravity. Nothing is truly isolated. The silence of the room is full of this connection. It is a reminder that you are a necessary part of the total weight of the cosmos. Time moves slower closer to massive objects. This is called gravitational time dilation. The core of the Earth is heavy. The seconds tick by more slowly there than they do in space. Your feet are slightly closer to the center than your head. Time flows slower at your soles. It flows faster at your crown. Gravity is acting as a brake on time itself. It slows the frantic pace of the universe. It asks things to wait. When you lie down, you bring your whole body into this slower stream. You align with the Earth. The heavy iron heart of the planet is slowing your clock. The urgency of the day fades. You rush to zones. This reveals that the deeper you sink into rest, the more time stretches out to accommodate you. Gravity causes clouds of gas and dust to collapse into storms. In the beginning, there was only cold dust. It drifted in the dark. Gravity whispered to the dust, It brought the particles together. They crowded close. They pressed against each other. The pressure built. The heat rose. Finally, the darkness broke. A star ignited. The sun that warms your skin was born from this event. Wait. The light in your room exists because gravity pulled the atoms tight. It turns the cold void into a hearth. It takes what is scattered and makes it whole. Even now the sun burns because it is being squeezed by its own weight. It is a stable fire. You could say that light is simply the visible memory of gravity's long and patient embrace. A black hole creates a gravitational field so strong that light cannot escape. That creates a boundary in space. If you crossed it, you would not return. The slope becomes a steep drop. The light from your lamp would fall into it like water. It would not bounce back. It would simply vanish. This is gravity without limit. It is the ultimate quiet. The noise of the galaxy stops there. The matter is condensed until it occupies no space at all. It waits in the dark. It is heavy and silent. It does not move. It pulls the fabric of space over its head like a blanket. It creates a pocket of eternal night where nothing happens. It is a reminder that there are places of absolute stillness where even light lays down its burden and rests forever. Tidal locking occurs when gravity slows a body's rotation until it matches its orbit. The moon always shows us one face. It does not spin freely. Earth has gripped it tight. Gravity acted like a hand on a spinning wheel. It applied friction. Over billions of years, the wheel slowed down. Now the moon looks only at us. It stares with a calm, gray gaze. It is locked in place. The energy of its spin was dissolved. It drifted away as heat. The motion settled into a standstill. It hangs there in the sky. It is patient. It waits for the Earth to slow down too. One day, they will face each other constantly. In this sense, we see that the universe slowly removes all friction, guiding every moving thing toward a state of perfect, mutual attention. Escape velocity is the speed needed to break free from a planet's gravitational influence. To leave the Earth, you must move very fast. You must work against the curve of space. But you are here. You are not moving fast. You are still. You are caught in the gravity well. It is a deep boat. You are resting at the bottom. The air sits on top of you like a heavy blanket. The atmosphere is held here too. It cannot float away. It creates a warm layer against the cold of space. You are safe inside this layer. You do not need to effort against the pull. You let it hold you down. You let it keep you grounded. You could say that being unable to fly away is a gift, for it keeps you cradled in the only home that was made for your breath. Dark matter provides the extra gravity that holds galaxies together. You cannot see this matter. It does not glow. It does not reflect light. We feel its weight. The stars on the edge of the galaxy move too fast. They should fly off into the void. They do not. Something invisible holds them. It acts like a vast, unseen cocoon. It wraps around the spiral arms. It wraps around the solar system. It passes through your room right now. It flows through the walls. It flows through your chest. It does not touch you. It only offers its weight. It adds to the gravity that keeps the galaxy intact. It binds the shape of the sky. This reveals that the most important things protecting us are often silent, invisible, and known only by the steady pressure of their presence. Gravitational waves are ripples in spacetime caused by massive cosmic events. Two black holes merge far away. They shake the fabric of the universe. A wave travels up. It moves at the speed of light. It crosses the empty distance. It passes through the Earth. For a tiny moment, the planet stretches. The room gets slightly longer. Then it gets slightly shorter. You stretch too. Your atoms move apart and come back together. You do not feel it. It is too small. It is a whisper from deep space. The wave washes over you and continues on. It travels to the edge of time. The universe is ringing like a bell. The sound is low and slow. It is a reminder that even in the deepest silence, the universe is trembling with the echoes of ancient giants, and you are part of that song. Gravity pulls matter inward equally from all directions to form spheres. Large objects become round. The Earth is a sphere. The Sun is a sphere. Gravity resolves sharp corners. It smooths them down. It pulls every mountain toward the core. It levels the high places. It builds the low places. Think of a drop of water that pulls itself into a being. The planet does the same. It seeks the shape of least resistance. It seeks a perfect balance. You are standing on this curve. The horizon bends away from you. The ground is not flat. It is part of a great bow. The geometry is simple. It creates no edges. There is no end. You could say that gravity is the sculptor of the universe, endlessly smoothing the rough edges until everything is perfectly whole and complete. Mass is the amount of matter in an object, while weight is the force of gravity acting on it. Your mass is constant. It is the sum of your atoms. It does not change. Now your weight is a conversation. It is a dialogue between you and the Earth. If you stood on the moon, you would be light. You would float. If you stood on Jupiter, you would be heavy. You would sink. Here on Earth, the conversation is just right. The pull is familiar. It is comfortable. Your muscles know this weight. Your bones are built for it. You fit into this gravity perfectly. The pressure on your back is not a burden. It is a grounding force. It tells you where you are. In this sense, we see that your weight is simply the measure of how strongly the Earth claims you as its own. Every object behaves as if all its mass were concentrated at a single point called the center of gravity. You have a center. It sits deep inside your torso. When you move, you pivot around this point. It is your anchor. Gravity pulls on this specific spot. It draws a straight line from your center to the center of the Earth. This line goes through the floor. It goes through the rock. It connects core to core. Balance is just aligning these 2 points. When you lie down, the line becomes short. Your center is close to the ground. You're stable. You cannot fall. The tension is gone. The effort to balance is over. You surrender your center to the floor. This reveals that finding rest is simply the act of lowering your center until you are fully supported by the foundation of the world. Astronauts in orbit appear to float, but they are actually falling. There is no zero gravity in space. They are simply surrendering to the pull completely. They fall around the curves of the planet. Inside the station, the body uncoils. The spine expands. The fluids shift. There is no up or down. The floor is the same as the ceiling. You drift in the center of the room. The pressure on your feet vanishes. The burden of standing is lifted. You are weightless, yet you are held by the planet's speed. You are suspended in a long, silent drop that never hits the ground. It is a perfect balance between falling and flying. It is a reminder that true freedom is found not by fighting the current, but by letting the great stream carry you effortlessly. The force of gravity weakens as you move farther away from the source. It spreads out into the void. It becomes thin, but it never truly reaches zero. It stretches infinitely across the universe. Think of a ripple on a pond. It gets wider and softer. It touches the far shore. The Earth's gravity touches the sun. The sun's gravity touches the distant stars. The signal is faint. It is a whisper in the dark. But it is there. The tether becomes a fine silk thread. It connects the here to the there. It spans the cold gaps between worlds. Nothing is ever truly lost. The influence remains. In this sense, we see that distance does not break our bonds. It only stretches them into a delicate and invisible web that covers the entire sky. Lifting an object creates gravitational potential energy. You move a book from the floor to the table. You have done work against the earth. The book now holds this energy. It waits. It wants to return to the floor. The energy is stored as a silent promise. It is a tension in the space between the object and the ground. The universe prefers low energy states. It wants things to be close. It wants things to be down. When something falls, it is spending this energy. It is returning to its natural state. It settles. It stops. The potential becomes stillness. The tension dissolves. You could say that every lifted thing is simply waiting for the moment it is allowed to return to the embrace of the ground. There are specific points in space where gravitational forces cancel each other out. These are called Lagrange points. Here, the pull of the sun matches the pull of the earth. A satellite can park here. It does not fall toward either body. It rests in the middle. It is a valley between the mountains. The forces are equal. The effort ceases. The object floats in a perfect equilibrium. It requires no fuel to stay in place. It simply exists in the balance. It is a rare quiet spot in a moving solar system. It is a sanctuary of stillness. This reveals that between every opposing force, there is a hidden place of peace where you can rest without being pulled to either side. Matter falling toward a massive object often forms a flat, rotating disk. It is like water circling a drain. The gas does not fall straight in. It waits its turn. It spins. The cloud flattens out. It becomes a smooth rain. It glows with heat. This is how solar systems begin. The dust learns to march in a circle. It organizes itself. The chaos of the cloud becomes the order of the disk. It is a slow, majestic procession. The particles follow the lead of the gravity well. They move in unison. They create a vast, spinning floor in the vacuum. It is a reminder that even in the chaotic dark, gravity is always working to arrange the scattered dust into a pattern of rhythmic beauty. Two orbiting bodies always circle a common center of mass. We say the moon orbits the earth. But this is not the whole truth. They orbit each other. They hold hands and spin. The center of their dance is a point called the Berry-stem. It is not in the middle of the earth. It is slightly offset. The earth wobbles as it spins. It leans toward the moon. The moon leans toward the earth. They counterbalance each other. It is a partnership. Neither is standing still. Both are moving around a shared point of focus. It is a mutual yielding. You could say that no relationship is one-sided, for even the heavy earth moves in response to the small, silent moon. An object falling freely is following the straightest possible path through curved space. This path is called a geodesic. The planet does not steer. It follows the rails laid down by gravity. It looks curved to us, but to the planet, it is a straight line. It is the path of least resistance. It is the easiest way forward. The universe has already paved the road. The apple falls from the tree. It follows a groove in the air. It does not decide to fall. It simply obeys the shape of the space it occupies. It surrenders to the geometry. It slides down the invisible wire. In this sense, we see that you do not need to force your direction, for the universe has already curved the path to guide you home. While gravity pulls things together, dark energy pushes the universe apart. It is a silent interaction. In the deep void between galaxies, the push is winning. The space is expanding. The lights are drifting away. Here, locally, gravity is stronger. It defeats the expansion. It holds the galaxy tight. It holds the solar system. It holds your mind. The space inside your room is not stretching. It is safe. Gravity protects you from the drift. It keeps your world solid and close. The vast emptiness may grow, but your home remains firm. It creates an island of stability. This reveals that while the universe may drift into the cold unknown, gravity ensures that everything you love remains close enough to touch. Gravity bends light as it passes massive objects. This effect is known as gravitational lensing. A galaxy acts like a glass lens. It magnifies the light behind it. The light does not travel straight. It follows the curve of the mass. Think of looking through the bottom of a glass bottle. The world works. The shapes stretch. Gravity does this to the stars. It smears their light into ours. It brings the distant past closer to your eye. The universe acts as a telescope. It gathers the faint signals for you. The light curves around the obstacle to reach you. It finds a way. In this sense, we see that nothing is truly hidden, for the universe bends its own rules to bring the light to where it needs to be. Gravity is the weakest of the four fundamental forces. A small magnet can lift a paperclip. It defeats the pull of the entire Earth. The planet pulls down. The magnet pulls up. The magnet wins effortlessly. You defeat gravity every time you stand up. You push against the floor. You rise. The Earth is massive. It is heavy. Yet your muscles are stronger than its grip. It does not crush you. It is gentle. It only asks for your return. It does not demand it. It is a soft background. It is not a shell. It waits for you to tire. It is patient. You could see that true power is not about overwhelming force, but about a constant, gentle presence that never fades away. Our galaxy is flowing toward a massive gravitational anomaly called the Great Attractor. We are moving at great speed. We are not sitting still. The Milky Way is a raft on a river. We are drifting toward a hidden point in the sky. We do not see it. It is hidden behind us. But we feel the pull. It draws millions of galaxies toward it. It is a gathering place. We are on a long journey. The ride is smooth. You do not feel the motion. You are carried along with the stars. There is a destination. We are not lost. This reveals that even when you cannot see the end of the road, a vast and invisible current is guiding you exactly where you need to go. That resistance eventually balances the force of gravity during a fall. This is called terminal velocity. The object stops speeding up. It reaches a steady pace. It settles into a rhythm. Think of a raindrop. It falls from a high cloud. Gravity pulls it down. The air pushes up. The forces it gray out of speed. The drop falls gently. It does not strike the earth with force. It arrives softly. The air acts as a cushion. It slows the descent. It protects the ground. You are walking through this thick air. It holds you. It slows you down. It is a reminder that the world often provides a soft resistance to keep us from falling too fast, ensuring we land safely. The Roche limit is the distance within which a celestial body dissolves due to tidal forces. If a moon comes too close, it separates. The planet's gravity pulls harder on the front than the back. The moon cannot hold itself together. It becomes dust. This dust forms a ring. It circles the planet forever. It becomes a beautiful halo. Saturn has these rings. They are the remains of a moon that wandered too close. There is a boundary. It must be respected. The moon is safe as long as it keeps its distance. It needs its own space. In this sense, we see that maintaining a respectful distance is sometimes the only way to remain whole and preserve your own shape. A neutron star is so dense that a single teaspoon would weigh billions of tons. Gravity has condensed the atoms. The electrons are forced into the nucleus. There is no empty space left. It is pure matter. It is incredibly heavy. A sugar cube of this material would fall through the earth like a stone through air. It creates a deep dent in space-time. It is small but mighty. It is a city squeezed into a room. It holds the weight of a sun. It sits in the dark, spinning wildly. It is solid. It is unbreakable. It has reached the limit of matter. You could say that true substance is not about size, but about how much weight and meaning you can hold within your core. Physicists depict gravitational fields as deep wells or funnels. The sun is a deep pit. The earth is a smaller pit. We live at the bottom of the earth's well. To leave, we must climb. It takes great effort. We must burn fuel. We must work up the slope. But to stay is effortless. You roll to the bottom. You settle there. The walls of the well surround you. They keep you in. It is not a cage. It is a cradle. The universe is all a landscape of hills and valleys. Matter seeks the valleys. It seeks the low ground. This reveals that the most natural state of existence is not the effort to climb, but the peace of resting deep within the valley. Gravity travels exactly at the speed of light. It is not instant. If the sun disappeared now, the earth would not know. We would continue to orbit nothing for 8 minutes. We would feel the pull of the ghost. The news travels across the void. It takes time to reach us. The tether has a delay. We are connected to the past of the sun. We feel what it was, not what it is. The universe has a lag. It echoes. The warmth on your skin is old light. The weight on your feet is old gravity. It is a reminder that we are always held by the history of things, sustained by a connection that persists even after the source is gone. Hyrostatic equilibrium is a state where the outward pressure of a star balances the inward pull of gravity. It is a standoff. The star wants to condense under its own weight. The fire inside pushes back. The two forces lock arms. They hold the sun in shape. It does not shrink. It does not explode. It waits. Your body has a similar tension. Your bones push out. Gravity pushes down. You exist in the middle. You are the space between the push and the pull. The balance is held without effort. You do not have to think about it. The structure holds. It is fun. It is a reminder that true stability comes not from the absence of pressure, but from the perfect balance of opposing forces within you. Plants sense gravity and use it to direct the growth of their roots deep into the earth. A seed in the dark knows which way is down. It feels the pull. It sends white roots into the soil. It sends green shoots toward the sky. It does not need light to find its way. It trusts the way. Your body has this compass too. Even with your eyes closed, you know where the ground lies. Your inner ear feels the heavy stone of the world. You are oriented. You are never truly lost. The direction is written in yourselves. You follow the ancient map. In this sense, we see that you are always being guided by a silent signal that leads you toward your foundation. A fluid exerts an upward force that opposes the weight of an immersed object. Water lifts you up. The tower acts gravity for you. When you float in a pool, you are light. The heavy burden of the air is gone. The water presses against your skin. It supports your back. It cradles your head. Gravity is still calling you, but the water answers. It holds you in a soft suspension. You drift between the floor and the air. The effort ends. You surrender to the liquid. It takes your weight. You could say that the world is filled with gentle hands ready to carry your burden if you simply allow yourself to sink into them. Satellites in low orbit slowly lose altitude due to friction with the upper atmosphere. They do not stay up forever. They brush against the thin air. It slows them down. They lose energy. They sink lower. It is a slow spiral. They are returning to the Earth. The planet is reeling them in. It is a long, quiet journey home. The sky is clearing itself. The debris falls. It burns up. It becomes dust. It rejoins the ground. Nothing stays above the influence. The separation is temporary. The return is inevitable. This reveals that no matter how far you drift, the gravity of home will always gently pull you back to where you belong. Heavy elements sink to the center of a molten planet while lighter materials rise to the surface. When Earth was young, it was liquid. The iron fell to the core. It made a heavy heart. The rock floated up. It made a cool crust. You live on this floating shell. You are supported by the deep, dense iron below. The heavy things have gone down so you can rest on top. The planet organized itself, sorted the chaos. It put everything in its right place. The ground is solid because the iron is deep. It is a reminder that the heaviest burdens act as the anchor, sinking deep so that the surface remains light and safe for you to walk upon. Gravity pulls the ocean surface into a smooth shape that follows the curvature of the earth. The water seeks a level. It does not pile up. It does not make hills. It lays flat. It creates a mirror. Gravity smooths the wrinkles. It calms the sea. It irons out the rough waves. The ocean becomes a floor. It stretches to the horizon. It is consistent. It is reliable. Your body contains this same water. It seeks the same level. When you lie down, your fluids settle. The internal tide comes. The turbulence passes. In this sense, we see that gravity is the great peacemaker, constantly working to bring all restless things into a state of flat, smooth serenity. Spacecraft use the gravity of planets to gain speed or change direction without using fuel. They do not fight the planet. They fall toward it. They swing around the back. They steal a little momentum. They are flung out stronger. They use the weight of the world to help them. You can do this too. You do not need to generate all your own power. You can lean on the gravity of your routine. You can let the momentum of the day carry you to bed. You swing around the night. You gather rest. You wake up faster. You could say that rest is just a gravitational assist, a way to use the heavy silence of the night to launch yourself into the new day. Lying in a horizontal position minimizes the work the heart must do against gravity. When you stand, your heart is a pump pushing against a mountain. It pushes blood up to your head. It is hard work. When you lie down, the mountain is gone. The body is flat. The blood flows easily. The resistance disappears. The heart slows down. It beats softly. The pressure drops. The urgency fades. You never lose the vertical effort. You are aligned with the horizon. The energy side becomes alien. The body repairs itself in the quiet. This reveals that the simple act of lying down is the most profound kindness you can offer to your own being. The universe is organized into a vast network of filaments known as the cosmic web. Galaxies do not scatter randomly. They follow the invisible roads of gravity. They cluster together in long threads. Between these threads lie massive voids. These are the empty rooms of the cosmos. Gravity has swept the house clean. It has gathered the light into specific places. It leaves the darkness alone. Think of a spitter bear glistening with dew. The droplets are the galaxies. The silk is the gravity. You are living in one of these droplets. You are suspended in the great design. The emptiness around you is vast, but you are not drifting. You are held in the structure. It is a reminder that even in the infinite dark, there is a hidden architecture connecting us all. Isostasis is the state of gravitational equilibrium between the Earth's crust and the mantle. Mountains are not just piles of rock sitting on the surface. They are like icebergs. They have deep roots that sink into the thick layer below. The higher the mountain, the deeper it sinks. The earth bends to accommodate the weight. The crust floats on the mantle like a raft on a slow river. It adjusts. If a mountain erodes, the crust rises. It is a slow breathing of the stone. The ground you walk on is constantly finding its balance. It is never rigid. It yields. In this sense, we see that to stand tall, one must also be willing to sink deep and find support in the hidden depths. Orbital resonance occurs when orbiting bodies exert a regular gravitational influence on each other. The moons of Jupiter dance in a strict rhythm. For every time one moon circles, another circles exactly twice. They meet at the same spot. They give each other a tiny nudge. It is a gravitational push. It keeps the time. The system is a clock that never needs winding. The planets are in harmony. The chaos of space is tamed by this math. The pulls are not random. They are synchronized. It is a heartbeat in the void. You are part of a solar system that keeps perfect time. You could say that the universe is not a chaotic noise, but a carefully composed song where every player knows exactly when to enter. Gravitational redshift describes how light loses energy as it escapes a massive object. Light must work to leave a star. It climbs the steep walls of the gravity well. As it climbs, it gets tired. Its color shifts toward red. The waves stretch out. The light arriving at your eye is slightly exhausted. It has been a toll to reach you. It spent its strength to cross the distance. The sun's light works to get to Earth. It overcomes the hold of its parent, It travels free, but it carries the mark of its effort. This reveals that leaving home always requires a sacrifice of energy, but it is the only way to eventually touch the world beyond. A passing celestial body can be trapped by a planet's gravity and become a moon. This is called capture. Titan was once a wanderer. It drifted in the cold dark. It passed too close to Neptune. The giant planet reached up. Its gravity acted like a net. It slowed the wanderer down. It curved its path. Now Titan circles Neptune forever. It is no longer lost. It has an orbit. It has a center. The wandering stopped. It settled into a routine. The emptiness of deep space was replaced by a constant companion. It is a reminder that sometimes the best thing that can happen is to be caught by something larger than yourself and given a place to stay. The Earth is not a perfect sphere, but an irregular shape called a geoid. Gravity is not the same everywhere. Some places are dense and pull harder. Others are light. The ocean surface bumps and dips to follow this pull. If you could see the true shape of gravity, the Earth would look like a lumpy potato. It is imperfect. It is full. But the wire does not move. It hides every lump. It fills every hollow. It respects the true shape of the rock. It does not demand a perfect circle. It accepts the reality of the planet. In this sense, we see the true harmony comes from adapting to the imperfections of the world rather than trying to force them into a flawless shape. Gas giants generate heat by slowly contracting under their own gravity. Jupiter is shrinking. It is settling down. Gravity pulls the gas inward. The squeeze creates friction. The friction creates heat. The planet glows in the dark. It gives off more warmth than it receives from the sun. It is a self-sustaining fire. It does not need to burn fuel. It only needs to accept its own weight. The heavier it gets, the warmer it becomes. It turns pressure into radiance. You have this capacity too. The pressures of life weigh on you. They squeeze, but they also generate your internal heat. You could say that the burdens you carry are actually the fuel that keeps your inner light burning against the cold. Shepherd moons are small satellites that use gravity to confine planetary rings. Saturn's rings are made of dust and ice. They want to spread out. They want to drift away. But small moons walk the edges of the rings. Their gravity hurts the particles. It pushes them back into line. It keeps the path narrow and clean. The moons are guardians. They do not touch the ring. They only use their presence. They define the boundaries. They create the gap. Without them, the beauty would disperse. The structure would fade. The ring exists because of the discipline of the moon. This reveals that true beauty often relies on gentle boundaries to keep it from dissolving into the chaos of the void. The equivalence principle states that the force felt from gravity is indistinguishable from the force felt from acceleration. Imagine you are in a closed room without windows. You feel a pressure on your feet. You feel heavy. You might be resting on Earth. Or you might be in a rocket accelerating deep in space. Your body cannot tell the difference. The sensation is identical. Gravity is not just a pull from below. It is the same as being pushed forward. The universe treats stillness on Earth and movement in space as the same experience. You are constantly being accelerated by the ground. It pushes you up. It keeps you from falling. In this sense, we see that standing still is actually a form of constant, silent motion that keeps you anchored to the reality of the moment. Tidal forces near a black hole stretch an object vertically and compress it horizontally. This process is called spaghettification. If you felt heat first, gravity would pull your feet much harder than your head. You would not disconnect. You would stretch. You would become long and thin. You would become a threaded house. The difference in the pull overcomes the strength of your bones. The body loses its width. It becomes a single line pointing toward the center. It is a radical transformation. The complexity of your shape is simplified. You surrender your form to the void. You become a stream of matter. It is a reminder that in the face of the absolute, all individual shapes are eventually drawn out into a single unified path. The heliosphere is the region around a planet where its gravity dominates over the gravity of the sun. Inside this invisible bubble, the Earth is the master. The moon lies here. Your satellites live here. Outside this bubble, the sun takes over. If you drift too far, the sun claims you. But you are deep inside the sphere. You are well within the safe zone. The planet protects you from the stronger pull of the star. It carves out a private space in the solar system. It creates a neighborhood. You are not exposed to the raw power of the sun's gravity. You are sheltered by the Earth's influence. This reveals that we are always held within a protective circle, guarded by the immediate presence of our home against the vastness of the outside world. Our galaxy belongs to a massive structure of 100,000 galaxies called the Weightless supercluster. The name means immeasurable heaven. We are not drifting alone. We are part of a great river of light. Gravity has gathered these galaxies together. They are flowing toward a common center. It is structure too big to see, but we are inside it. The Milky Way is just a speck in this cloud. The gravity of the supercluster guides our path through the universe. We have an address in the cosmos. We belong to a family of giants. The night sky is not empty space. It is a crowded room. You could say that no matter how small you feel, you are a constituent part of a majestic and immeasurable whole. Frame dragging occurs when a rotating massive body twists the space-time around it. The Earth spins. It does not just spin in space, it drags space with it. Imagine a spoon spinning in a jar of heavy honey. The honey swirls around the spoon. The Earth does this to the void. The space in your room is slowly twisting. You are being turned by the planet's rotation, but the space you occupy is turning too. The fabric of the universe is wrapped around the world. It is not a static stage. It is active. It moves with us. It dances with the planet. In this sense, we see that the environment is not a passive backdrop, but a partner that moves in rhythm with your every turn. The direction we call down is simply the direction of the strongest gravitational pull. Down is not a fixed place in the universe. In space, there is no down. If you travel to the other side of the world, down is up. It is relative. It is a local agreement between you and the planet. Your body constantly seeks this direction. It aligns your feet with the center. It builds your reality around the center. Down is just where the safety lies. It is where the ground waits. You carry this orientation with you. Wherever you go, gravity defines your floor. It is a reminder that stability is not an absolute truth, but a relationship you build with wherever you happen to be. Gravitational potential energy is always negative. To be free, you must have zero energy. That you are bound to the earth. You are in the dead of gravity. You are in a hole. To get out, you must pay energy. You must add work. This means your natural state is one of attachment. You belong to the system. The universe implies that being separate requires effort, while being connected is the default state. You do not have to work to belong. You are already paid for. The gravity holds you because you are part of the equation. This reveals that you do not need to earn your place in the world. The laws of physics have already secured your position within the deep energy of the Earth. Supermassive black holes reside at the centers of most galaxies and act as gravitational anchors. In the heart of the Milky Way, there is a giant. It is millions of times heavier than the Sun. It is the hub of the wheel. The galaxy spins around it. It does not swallow the galaxy. It holds it. It provides the weight that keeps the stars from flying apart. It is the dark keystone of our home. We orbit the silent king. We are far away, but we are tethered to it. The structure of the spiral arms depends on this heavy center. It is a reminder that at the core of every beautiful, swirling system, there is a profound and heavy silence that holds everything together. Denser materials sink below lighter materials due to gravitational pull. Oil floats on water. Cold air sinks to the floor. In your room, the air is naturally arranging itself. The cool, heavy air settles near the ground. It wraps around your bed. It is a blanket of stillness. The warm air rises to the ceiling. It drifts away. You are lying in the cool, settled air. The atmosphere is holding you. It sorts itself out to make you comfortable. You do not need to do anything. The physics of the air takes care of the arrangement. You are resting in the heaviest, most stable part of the room. This reveals that the world naturally organizes itself to cradle you in the most secure and grounded layer of existence. Physicists hypothesize the existence of a particle called the graviton that transmits the force of gravity. These particles are invisible messengers. They travel between all things. They move from the earth to your body. They move from your body to the walls. They are the threads of the wind. They pass through silence. They pass through stone. They are sewing the universe together. Every atom is constantly sending these notes to every other atom. The air is thick with this conversation. You cannot see it. You cannot hear it. But you feel it as weight. You feel it as the mattress under your back. It is a reminder that you are constantly being spoken to by the earth in a language of pure and steady support. Gravity causes dispersed particles to collide and stick together, eventually forming solid planets. Long ago, the ground you walk on was a cloud of dust. It floated in the cold void. Gravity called it home. The grains touched. They fused. They became a rock. The rock became a mountain. The mountain became a world. This process built the floor of your room. It built the foundation of your house. Every solid thing was once a ghost. It was pulled from the mist by the patience of gravity. Now it is hard. It is real. It supports your weight. It will not dissolve. You could say that the solidity of the world is simply the result of gravity refusing to let the dust remain alone and scatter. A planet sweeps out equal areas in equal times as it orbits the sun. When a planet is close to the sun, it moves fast. When it is far, it moves slow. It adjusts its speed. It listens to the music of the orbit. It creates a rhythm. There is a time to rush. There is a time to rest. The planet knows the difference. It does not panic when it is far away. It slows down. It enjoys the drift. It waits for the turn. Your life has this rhythm too. There are fast days. There are slow days. Gravity guides them both. In this sense, we see that slowing down is not a failure, but a necessary part of the long and beautiful journey around the light. While the universe expands, gravity holds local galaxy groups together. The distant stars are leaving. They are moving into the dark. but the Milky Way stays close to its neighbors. Gravity is stronger than the drift here. It creates a village in the void. It builds a fence against the expansion. We are not scattering. We are gathering. Your room is part of this gathering. The atoms in your body are held tight. They will not fly apart. The expansion cannot touch you here. You are safe in the gravity well. You are protected from the cold distance. It is a reminder that gravity is the guardian that keeps your world intimate, familiar, and close enough to hold. The solid Earth deforms slightly due to the tidal forces of the moon and sun. The ground is not perfectly rigid. It rises and falls like the sea that breathes. Twice a day, the floor beneath you lifts a few inches. Then it settles back down. You do not feel it. It is too gentle. It is a slow heave of the crust. The rock is flexible. It yields to the moon. It does not break. It stretches. You are riding this slow wave. The planet is rocking you. It is a cradle in motion. The stone is soft in the grip of gravity. This reveals that even the hardest things in the world are willing to soften and bend to maintain their connection with the heavens. The center of mass in the human body is located in the pelvic region. When you walk, you are constantly throwing the center forward and catching it. It is a controlled fall. It is work. But when you lie down, the center stops moving. It sinks. It aligns with the mattress. The need to catch yourself is gone. The risk of falling is zero. Gravity holds your center perfectly still. The engine of movement shuts down. The pelvis rests. The spine rests. The weight is distributed. There's no heady point anymore. The load is shared by the bed. You could say that sleep is the moment you finally trust the ground enough to stop balancing and simply let go. Water stored at a height possesses gravitational potential energy. A lake high in the mountains is a battery. It holds cover. It waits. The water wants to come down. It wants to flow to the sea. It is patient. It is in the heavy silence of the peaks. When it falls, it becomes a river. It becomes energy. It becomes life. But first it must rest. It must gather. Your rest is like this high lake. You are gathering potential. You are lying still. You are not doing nothing. You are building the energy for the morning. You are filling the reservoir. It is a reminder that stillness is not empty, but a fullness waiting for the right moment to flow. Gravity causes suspended particles in the air to eventually settle on the ground. The dust motes dancing in the sunlight do not stay there forever. Gravity is patient with them. It pulls them down one by one. They land softly on the floor. They land on the shelves. The air in your room is slowly being cleaned by this force. Gravity is sweeping the space for you. It clarifies the atmosphere. It brings the wandering matter to rest. You can see this stillness on a quiet surface. The dust lies there undisturbed. It has finished its journey. It is a reminder that even the most restless things eventually find a place to land and be still. The moon is slowly moving away from the Earth at a rate of a few centimeters per year. It is a long, slow farewell. Gravity is the tether, but the energy of the tides is pushing it out. The bond is stretching. The moon is seeking its own space in the dark. It is not a sudden break. It is a gentle drift. The distance grows over millions of years. The silence between us deepens. Yet the face of the moon remains turned toward us. It watches as it retreats. In this sense, We see that relationships can change and distances can grow, yet the connection remains constant and unbroken across the widening void. Bone density is maintained by the physical stress of resisting gravity. Your skeleton is built to carry the weight of the world. It is not just hard-weight stone. It is alive. It reacts to the pull. Every time you stand, your bones get stronger. They know gravity is there. They build themselves up to meet it. Your body is a monument to this invisible force. You are shaped by the planet you live on. Without this weight, you would be frail. The burden makes you robust. You could say that the heavy pressures of life are actually the architects that build your inner strength and keep you standing tall. Precipitation occurs when water droplets in a cloud become too heavy for the air to support. The cloud can no longer hold on to them. It lets go. The rain falls in a straight line. It follows a path of gravity. It connects the sky to the ground. The water returns to the earth that gave it. It is a vertical river. The sound of rain is the sound of gravity acting on water. It is a rhythmic drumming. It beats against the roof. It washes the walls. The water seeks the lowest point. It finds the soil. This reveals that letting go is a natural part of the cycle, allowing what is needed to fall exactly where it belongs. The horizon exists because gravity curves the surface of the earth into a sphere. You look out into the distance. The world bends away from you. You cannot see forever. The ground curves down. It hides the rest of the planet. Gravity creates this limit. It creates a private circle for you to stand in. You are at the center of your own horizon. The curve is gentle. It is not a cliff. It is a slope. It suggests there is more beyond what you can see. It invites you to imagine the rest. It is a reminder that your perspective is always limited by the shape of the world, and there is always more waiting just beyond the edge of your sight. The solar system orbits the center of the Milky Way once every 230 million years. We are on a great journey. We are not sitting still in space. Gravity is swinging us around the galaxy. It is a massive slow move. We have only made this trip a few times in the history of the Earth. The stars you see are moving with us. We are traveling together. The ride is so smooth you cannot feel it. You are safe on the raft of the solar system. The gravity of the galaxy steers us through the dark. In this sense, we see that you are part of a grand, ancient cycle that takes lifetimes to complete just a single turn. In microgravity, a flame forms a perfect sphere rather than a teardrop shape. On Earth, fire climbs up. It works against gravity. In space, it rests. It becomes a ball of quiet blue light. It does not flicker. It does not dance. It burns steadily. It is calm. It is a fire without aggression. It hovers in the air like a small star. The absence of weight brings peace to the flame. It finds its simplest form. It is efficient. It glows softly in the center of the room. You could say that when the effort against the weight of the world is removed, even the wildest energy creates a shape of perfect harmony. Muscles must constantly maintain tension to hold the body upright against gravity. Standing is an act of resistance. Your back works. Your legs work. They counter the pull every second. But when you lie down, the effort ends. The command is cancelled. The mess is unlocked. They melt into the bag. Gravity no longer pulls you down, it holds you in place. The tension leaves your neck. It leaves your shoulders. The heavy feeling in your limbs is just the muscles accepting the truth. They surrender to the support. This reveals that the heaviness you feel is simply the pleasure of finally laying down your shield and letting the earth carry you completely. Gravity cannot be shielded by any known material in the universe. You can hide from the light. You can block the wind. You can shelter yourself from radiation behind thick lead walls. But gravity passes through the lead as if it were air. It passes through the roof of your house. It passes through the rock of the cave. It reaches you wherever you are. There is no place to hide from its influence. It is a force that ignores barriers. It finds you in the deepest dark. It holds you in the sealed room. It is absolute. It is pervasive. In this sense, we see that you are never truly alone, for the connection to the earth penetrates every wall you build around yourself. Inside your inner ear, there are tiny calcium crystals called otoliths that sense gravity. These are microscopic stones. They rest on a bed of sensitive hairs. When you tilt your head, the stones roll. They slide down the slope. They tell your brain where the ground is. You carry a piece of the Earth's geology inside your skull. You have your own internal plumb line. It is working even when you sleep. It keeps you oriented in the dark. It anchors your mind to the physical world. It is a constant signal. It is a whisper of direction. This reveals that the knowledge of where you belong is not something you learn, but something written into the very architecture of your body. A satellite in geosynchronous orbit matches the rotation of the Earth exactly. It flies at a specific height. It moves at the same speed as the ground below. From your window, it would look like a fixed star. It does not rise. It does not sit. It hangs there. It watches the same patch of ocean forever. It is falling, but it never moves relative to you. It creates a permanent connection in the sky. It is a faithful companion. It resists the urge to wander. It stays. It waits. You could say that true loyalty is simply the act of moving in perfect harmony with the one you are watching over. The atmosphere presses down on your body with a weight of nearly 15 pounds per square inch. You're walking at the bottom of a deep ocean of air. The air is heavy. It piles up for miles above your head. It pushes against your skin. It holds you together. You do not feel compressed because your internal pressure pushes back. You are at equilibrium. The hug is tight, but it is balanced. You are supported by the weight of the sky. It wraps around you like a heavy quilt. It keeps your fluids from boiling. It keeps you solid. It is a reminder that the pressure you feel from the world is often the very thing that keeps you whole and intact. An arch relies on the force of gravity to hold its stones together. A stone arch has no cement. It has no glue. It stands because the stones lean on each other. Gravity pulls them down. The shape directs the weight sideways. The stones press tight. The heavier they are, the stronger the bridge becomes. The weight itself creates the stability. If gravity stopped, the arch would fade. The pressure is the mortar. The structure needs the weight to exist. It uses the pull of the earth to stand tall. In this sense, we see that relying on others and leaning into the weight of the world is what creates a structure that can last for centuries. The moon likely formed from the gathering of debris between Earth and another planet. Long ago, the Earth met another. It was changed. A ring of dust and fire surrounded the world. It was dynamic. But gravity began its work. It gathered the pieces. It pulled the dust into a cup. It smoothed the edges. It filled the space in the sky. It built a silver sphere from the remnants. The debris became a light in the night. The mark became a companion. This reveals that even from the most intense moments of change, gravity has the patience to build something beautiful and whole. On Mars, you would weigh only a third of what you weigh on Earth. The pull is weak. You would feel light. You could jump high. You could lift heavy stones. But after a while, you may miss the weight. Your bones would grow thin. Your heart would grow lazy. The body needs the effort. It needs the heavy hand of the earth to keep it robust. The lightness is a lack of connection. The gravity of home is a challenge that keeps you strong. It demands effort. It keeps you present. You could say that the feeling of your weight is actually a gift, a constant reminder of the planet's deep desire to keep you close. The sudden sensation of falling just as you drift asleep is known as a hypnic jerk. Your brain is powering down. The muscles relax. The tension leaves the body. Sometimes the brain misinterprets this letting go. It thinks you are actually falling. It sends a signal. It twitches the muscles. It tries to catch you. It is a primitive reflex. It is checking for gravity. It wants to make sure you are safe. It wakes you for a second. You realize you aren't dead. You are supported. The worry dissolves. It is a reminder that even when you lose consciousness, a deep part of you is always watching to ensure you are held safely by the ground. Every object with mass attracts every other object with mass. This is not a choice. It is a law. You feel this right now in the dark. It is the weight of your body sinking into the mattress. The earth is vast beneath you. It pulls you gently toward its center. You do not need to hold on. The planet holds you. Your muscles can release their tension. The heavy blanket presses down. This is the invisible hand of the cosmos. It anchors you to this room. It keeps the atmosphere from drifting into space. You are grounded. You are supported. You are here. It is a reminder that connection is the default state of the universe, an endless embrace that ensures you will not float away, but remain held, safe and heavy, in the arms of the world. Gravity is the curvature of space and time caused by matter. Imagine a stretched sheet of fabric. Place a heavy stone in the center. The fabric dips down. This is what the earth does to the space around it. You are resting in that gentle slope. Time slows down where gravity is strong. Down here on the surface, the clock ticks slower than it does in the sky. Your heart beats at a slower rhythm. The seconds stretch out. The night lengthens. The room bends around you. It creates a hollow for you to sleep. Everything falls toward this stillness. The dust settles on the shelf. Your eyelids grow heavy. In this sense, we see that the universe is not a cold void, but a curved shape that wraps around you, bending the straight lines of reality into a soft cradle where time waits for you to rest. The reach of gravity extends across infinite distances. It grows weaker as you move away, but it never reaches zero. The moon above the roof tugs at the oceans. It lifts the dark water in a slow breath. It tugs at you too. The stars are far away, yet they touch you with their gravity. You are connected to the edge of the universe. Threads of invisible force pass through the walls. They pass through the ceiling. They lead through your sleeping form. You are part of the vast web. It is silent, unchanging. Nothing is truly isolated. You could say that separation is merely an illusion of the eyes. Though you lie alone in this quiet room, every atom in your body is engaged in a slow, invisible bond with the furthest galaxies, holding you in a unity that requires no words. In a vacuum, a feather and a hammer fall at the exact same speed. The air creates resistance. But gravity treats all things as equals. It does not care how heavy your burdens are. It does not care how light your spirit feels. It pulls everything down with the same patience. Close your eyes. Imagine the resistance vanishing. You are floating down. You are a feather. You are a stone. It does not matter. The descent is smooth. There is no rush. Gravity is consistent. It is reliable. It has pulled dust down for billions of years. It pulls you down into sleep. This reveals that beneath the noise of the day, there is a fundamental fairness to the cosmos. We all return to the same level, finding a shared peace in the surrender to the downward pull, leveling the world into a quiet calm. Gravity collapses clouds of dust and gas to form stars. Despair the sun, there was only a cloud. It was cold and dark. Gravity drew the particles together. It closed the gaps. It brought the dust home. Your body is made of this same stardust. The iron in your blood was gathered by this pull. The floor beneath your bed is solid because of gravity. It packs the atoms tight. It creates stability out of motion. You can rest on this solidity. The earth is hard and firm. It supports your weight. Gravity built the ground you sleep on. It is a reminder that the heavy forces of the universe are creators of safety. They do not press, they assemble. They gather the scattered pieces of the dark into a whole, letting you rest as a complete, solid being in the center of the night. The moon's gravity pulls on the earth to create a bulge in the oceans. This is called a tidal force. It happens every day. The water rises. The water falls. Your body is mostly water. Same rhythm moves through you. It is a slow pulse. It is not something you feel with your hands. You feel it in the quiet. The blood moves in your veins. It flows like a slow river. The fluids in your cells settle. The night is a high tide. The noise of the day recedes. The silence washes you. You are drifting on a calm sea. There are no winds here. In this sense, we see that we are not separate from the celestial dance, but vessels of the same ancient water, obeying the same quiet laws that guide the oceans and breathing in time with the moon. Every object has a center of gravity where its weight is perfectly balanced. This is a point of equilibrium. Imagine this point within you. It lies deep in your torso. When you stand, you work to keep this point alive. Now you are lying down. The work is over. Your center of gravity is low. It is close to the earth. You cannot fall. You are stable. The spine straightens. The neck relaxes. The heavy head sinks into the pillow. There is no sway. There is no vertigo. You have found the perfect position. The physics of the body are at rest. It is a reminder that sleep is the ultimate act of balance, a surrendering of our upright effort to find a center that holds us still without effort. An orbit is essentially a constant free fall that misses the ground. The astronauts in the station are falling. They fall around the world. They do not hit the surface. They float in the drop. Sleep is a kind of orbit. You let go of the day. You begin to fall toward the train. You do not hit the bottom. You glide. The mind drifts. The thoughts detach. You are suspended in the dark. The gravity of the waking world tries to pull you back. But you are moving too fast. You are traveling into the night. The trajectory is smooth. You are safe in this motion. This reveals that falling is not always a danger, but sometimes a way to travel, a suspension of the self in a long, quiet arc that carries us safely through the darkness. A black hole has an event horizon where gravity becomes absolute. Nothing returns from this line. It acts as a one-way door. The room is done. Your eyelids are the event horizon. You close them. The light of the world is gone. The images vanish. You are entering a personal singularity. The gravity of sleep pulls you in. No noise escapes. No worry follows. You are deep inside the quiet. The rest of the universe continues to spin. But you are removed. You are sealed in. The pressure is immense but comforting. It holds you together. You could say that this darkness is a fortress. It is a place where the rules of the outside world no longer apply, hidden in the deep gravity of rest where the peace is unbreakable. Massive interactions in deep space send ripples through the fabric of space-time. These are gravitational waves. They pass through the Earth. They pass through your room. Space stretches and squeezes by a fraction of an atom. It happens silently. You do not feel the shift. But the universe is humming. It is a very low frequency. It is deeper than sound. It is a lullaby of physics. The air in the room is still. The walls are shut. Yet space itself breathes around you. It expands and contracts. You are resting in a dynamic ocean. The waves wash over you. They are harmless. They are ancient signals. It is a reminder that stillness is full of life. Even in the deepest quiet, the universe is singing a slow song, rocking the very structure of reality to soothe the weary traveler. Escape velocity is the speed required to break free from a gravitational field. For Earth, this speed is high. Tonight, your speed is 0. You are not trying to escape. You are content to remain. The gravity holds you here. Your legs are heavy. Your arms are heavy. You do not wish to fly. You wish to stay. The bed is a lawn patch that goes nowhere. The head is a dog. You are moored to the night. The energy of the day is run out. The engines are cold. You accept the pull. You sink deeper. The planet claims you. In this sense, we see that being stuck is a gift. It is the permission to stop moving, to stop striving, and to let the heavy hand of the Earth keep you exactly where you belong. Gravity builds planets by gathering scattered rocks into a single sphere. It takes the debris of space. It binds them. It smooths the edges. Sleek does this to the mind. The day scatters your focus. You are fragmented. You are tired. Now gravity takes over. You lie down. The pieces come back together. The memories settle. The thoughts condense. You become whole again. The motion smooths out. The sphere of your consciousness hardens. You are rebuilding. The night is a time of accretion. The layers of the self stack up. You become solid. This reveals that rest is a creative force. It is the gravity of the soul pulling the scattered fragments of your life back into a unified center, ready to face the light of a new sun. Large objects pull matter inward equally from all directions. This forces planets to become spheres. Gravity resolves a sharp edge. It smooths the mountains over millions of years. It rounds the rough rocks. Look at your body in the dark. You curl your legs up. You bow your head. You seek the curved shape. It is the fetal position. It is the shape of the beginning. The bed contours to your spine. The pillow softens the angle of your neck. There are no straight lines in the deep cosmos. Softness is the rule. The world beneath you is round. The moon is round. It is a reminder that the universe prefers the curve to the angle, smoothing out the roughness of existence until we are all polished stones, resting in the infinite circle of the night. Between two large celestial bodies, there are points where gravity cancels out completely. These are called Lagrange points. An object placed here will not move. It stays perfect. Tonight, you are searching for this point. It is the space between being awake and being asleep. The pull of tomorrow creates tension. The pull of yesterday creates regret. You must find the spot in the middle. The forces equalize. You float in the gap. The effort ends. The mind stops spinning. You hang in the balance. The silence is absolute. In this sense, we see that peace is not the absence of force, but the perfect equilibrium of opposing weights, creating a silent pocket of stillness where the soul can finally stand still. Most of the gravity in the universe comes from invisible matter we cannot see. It is called dark matter. It binds the galaxies together. Without it, the stars would fly apart. You cannot see the supports in your walls. You cannot see the beams under the floor. But they are there. They hold the structure up. You trust them without looking. The dark holds the light together. The silence holds the sound. Your life is held by forces you do not notice. You are supported by the unseen. The dark room is full of this quiet strength. You could say that what we see is only a fraction of reality, and the true foundation of our rest lies in the invisible, the silent, and the unmeasured darkness that keeps us whole. Gravity is the weakest of the four fundamental forces of nature. A small magnet can lift a pin against the pull of the entire Earth. It is not intense. It is subtle. It whispers rather than shouts. Feel the blanket on your skin. It is not heavy. It creates a soft pressure. This is gravity's touch. It does not demand. It invites. It waits for you to settle. It persists when other forces fade. The chemical bonds of the day break down. The energy dissipates. The gravity remains. It is constant. This reveals that true power does not need to be forceful, but simply enduring, a gentle and eternal presence that outlasts the wind and guides us softly to the ground. A massive object can bend the path of light itself. This is called gravitational lensing. It allows us to see behind obstacles. It changes the view. Your eyes are closing now. The light of the room is bending away. The strict shapes of the furniture are dissolving. The logic of the day is warping. You are entering the dream state. The narrative curves. Time loops. The heavy gravity of sleep changes how you see. Things that were hidden become clear. Things that were hard become soft. The straight road is gone. It is a reminder that reality is not rigid, but flexible, bending around the weight of our rest to show us a new world that exists only when the eyes are closed. Our sun orbits the center of the galaxy at thousands of miles per hour. It is held in a long curve by a supermassive black hole. It takes millions of years to complete one circle. You are on this journey. The room feels still. The air is quiet. But you are moving through the deep void. You are a passenger on a starship made of rock. The gravity of the Galactic core steers the ship. You do not need to drive. You do not need to navigate. The path is thick. The curve is long. You are being carried through the ages. In this sense, we see that stillness is relative, and while you sleep, you are traversing the greatest distances of all, safely held in the carousel of the stars. The weight of the Earth's layers creates immense heat and pressure at the core. Gravity presses matter together until it stays warm. The center of the planet is a fire that does not go out. It stays warm because of the weight above it. You are under the covers. The layers press down. They drop their heat. You create a warm core in the bed. The cold air of the room cannot reach you. You are insulated. The pressure is a shield. It keeps the warmth inside. The heavy weight is a blanket of physics. You are glowing in the dark. This reveals that the burden of weight is also the source of warmth, pressing in to protect the vital fire of life from the cold emptiness of the space outside. Gravity holds the atmosphere against the surface of the planet. Without this pull, the air would drift away into space. Take a deep breath. Feel the air fill your chest. It is heavy. It is thick. Gravity keeps this layer wrapped around the world like a second skin. It presses against the windows. It settles in the corners of the room. You are submerged in a fluid of gas. It does not fly off into the void. It stays there for you. The pressure on your body is a hug from the sky. The molecules are packed tight. You can breathe easily. It is a reminder that we live inside a protective shell, a thin layer of life held close by the earth to ensure that we are never left drifting in the empty dark. Locking keeps one face of the moon permanently turned toward the earth. It creates an eternal gaze. The moon does not stay away. It watches. Think of your head on the pillow. You turn your cheek to the fabric. You stay there. You do not spin. The gravity of sleep holds your focus. You are locked in place. The spinning of the mind slows down. It matches the rhythm of the night. A restless motion ceases. You are facing the dream. You are steady. This reveals that true connection requires stillness, a locking of the gaze that stops the spinning of the world and allows the bodies to move through the dark as one constant pair. Inside the Roche limit, a moon will break apart into rings of dust. The gravity is too strong for it to hold together. It surrenders its shape. Tonight, you are close to this limit. The day held you together. You were a solid object. You wore a name. Now the gravity of sleep pulls at you. The structure dissolves. The rigid lines of your personality break down. You become a ring of dust. You float around the center. It is not difficult. It is a release. You are no longer one thing. You are many soft things. You drift. In this sense, we see that breaking apart is just a change of form, a way to become a circle of quiet particles drifting beautifully in the silence of the void. The human body requires gravity to maintain the density of its bones. Without weight, we become weak. The astronauts must exercise to counter the flow. You are lying heavy in the dark. Your bones are absorbing the pull. The way you feel is medicine. It strengthens you. Do not resent the heaviness of your limbs. It is keeping you solid. It tells your body that you are home. The pressure on the mattress is a signal to your cells. You are being maintained. The earth is knitting your structure tight. You could say that the weight we carry is what keeps us real, giving us the strength to stand tall when the sun rises and the work begins again. Gravity is not the same everywhere on Earth. Dense rocks create a stronger pull. The field is uneven. It has hills and valleys. The invisible map is bumpy. Your bed is like this. You shift away. You find the hollow. You avoid the hard ridge. You navigate the terrain of the mattress. The body seeks the path of least resistance. You settle into the local dip. The variance is small, but it matters. You fit into the complex parts. The landscape cradles you. It is a reminder that the world is not a perfect machine, but a textured organic shape that allows us to find our own unique space to rest within the uneven surface of reality. The crust of the earth floats on the semi-fluid mantle below. Mountains have deep roots to balance their height. It is a state of isostasy. You are a mountain range in the bed. Your body sinks down. The mattress rises up to meet you. It supports your mass. You are displacing the material. The bed adjusts. You are in equilibrium. You do not sink forever. You do not float away. You are held at the surface. The deep layers sustain you. The balance is struck. This reveals that for every weight, there is an equal support, a deep and hidden foundation that rises to meet us and keep us afloat on the dark ocean of the night. Potential energy is stored when an object is lifted against gravity. The higher you go, the more energy you hold. All day you climb. You worked against the pull. You built up tension. Now you are full. You are releasing the energy. It flows out of your muscles. It flows into the bed. The day's work is converting into rest. The height is gone. You are at the bottom of the well. The energy is safe. It is not lost. It is waiting. You could say that sleep is the harvest of our efforts, the moment we let the stored potential of the day settle back into the earth to be used again. Jupiter does not orbit the center of the sun. Both bodies orbit a shared point in empty space. This is called the Berry-Stenner. It is a point of mutual balance. Think of two dancers holding hands and spinning. They lean back. They rely on each other. You are in this relationship with the earth. You push down. The earth pushes up. You are not just a weight. You are planet. The bed acts as the fulcrum. You are locked in a silent dance with the planet. There is no movement, only tension and support. In this sense, we see that even the smallest being has an effect on the greatest giant, and we find our rest in the shared center of gravity between us. A falling object eventually stops accelerating. The resistance of the air matches the pull of the earth. This is called terminal velocity. The rain hits the ground softly because of this limit. Your thoughts were racing earlier. They were falling fast. Now the atmosphere of the room catches them. The silence is thick. It creates time. The mind slows down. You reach a safe speed. You are no longer rushing toward the ground. You are drifting. It is a reminder that nature places a limit on how fast we can fall, providing a cushion of air to ensure that our descent into sleep is gentle and controlled. Millions of galaxies are flowing like a river toward a massive anomaly. Astronomers call it the Great Attractor. We are moving toward it at incredible speed. But the motion is smooth. You cannot feel the rush. You are lying in a boat on a calm stream. The current is wide and deep. The stars outside your window are drifting with you. You are not lost in the void. You are part of a vast migration. The direction is set. This reveals that we are all travelers on the same water, guided by a silent mystery that draws the entire universe together into a common destiny. To leave the Earth, a rocket must glide out of a gravity well. The planet sits at the bottom of a deep dip in energy. You are resting at the bottom of this well. The walls are high. The wind passes far above you. You are sheltered down here. Gravity acts as a trench. It protects you from the emptiness of open space. You are tucked in. The depth is cozy. It requires energy to leave, but zero energy to stay. You could say that the lowest point is the safest place to be, huddled at the base of reality where the forces of nature hold us tight. You can block light with a heavy curtain. You can block sound with a thick wall. But you cannot block gravity. There is no shield for it. It passes through lead. It passes through rock. It reaches you in the center of a building. It reaches you under the thickest blanket. The connection is absolute. It is the most loyal force in the cosmos. It never looks away. It holds you through the layers. It finds you in the dark. It is a reminder that true connection is unbreakable, passing through every barrier we build to ensure that we are never truly alone. In the early solar system, dust grains stuck together through gentle beings. They did not impact. They touched in the air. This is how the planets were built, by soft contact. Think of your eyelids touching. Think of your hands resting on your chest. It is a soft docking. You are gathering yourself. The pieces of the day are sticking together. You are growing heavier. You are growing solid. The scattered dust becomes a whirl. This reveals that great things are built from gentle moments, the quiet accumulation of rest stacking up to create a foundation that can support life. The gravitational constant is the same in every corner of the universe. It does not change on Mars. It does not change in the furthest galaxy. It is a fixed number. In a world of shifting variables, this is your anchor. The rules do not change while you sleep. You can close your eyes with confidence. When you wake, the law will be the same. The bed will be there. The flow will be there. The physics are faithful. In this sense, we see that the universe keeps its promises, maintaining the heavy order of the dark so that we can rest without uncertainty of the unknown. To separate a planet requires overcoming its gravitational binding energy. It takes immense power to scatter the atoms of a world. You are held together by a similar force. The day tries to wear you down. An ocean tries to pull you apart. But your gravity is strong. You lie still. The core of yourself tightens. The atoms of your body cling to each other. You are a dense, solid object. You are not unraveling. The night reinforces the bond. You are safe in your own density. It is a reminder that resilience is a natural law, a binding force that keeps the pieces of who we are intact against the emptiness of the void. Water always flows to the lowest possible point due to gravity. It seeks the valley. It creates a lake. Your energy follows this rule. It drains from the high ground of the mind. It flows down the spine. It pulls in the heavy limbs. The tension leaves the neck. It settles in the mattress. You are becoming a still lake. The surface is glass. There are no ripples. The thoughts sink to the bottom. You are at rest. In this sense, we see that letting go is simply obeying the flow, allowing the waters of the spirit to find their natural level in the deep, quiet hollows of the night. The sensation of weight is actually the ground pushing up against you. It is a constant resistance. Now you are horizontal. The pressure is spread out. The bed pushes up against your whole back. The weight is distributed. No single part of you carries the load. The feet are free. The spine is free. You are floating on a sea of support. The earth is carrying you completely. You do not need the help. You can surrender the weight. You could say that the ground is a loyal servant, rising up to meet every inch of your body so that you can lay your burdens down. As the spinning object expands, it slows down. This is the conservation of momentum. The day contracts you. It makes you spin fast. It makes you small and tight. Sleep expands you. You stretch out the limbs. You take up space in the bed. You breathe deep. The body widens. The spinning slows. The dizziness fades. The rotation of the mind comes to a halt. You are large and slow. You are a vast planet turning gently in the dark. This reveals that to find peace, we must simply take up more space, expanding into the silence until the rapid motion of the world dissolves into a drift. Lifting an object against gravity requires mechanical work. Your eyelids are mass. You lift them thousands of times a day. You lift against the earth to see the world. Now the work is over. Gravity wants them closed. You let them fall. It is an act of compliance. The heavy curtain drops. The muscle relaxes. The seal is tight. The light is shut out. You are not holding anything up anymore. The eyes roll back. The vision clears. It is a reminder that darkness is the natural state of rest, and closing our eyes is simply allowing the heavy hand of nature to grant us a moment of reprieve. Matter tells space how to curve, and space tells matter how to move. This is the foundation of relativity. You are matter. You are telling the bed how to curve. The mattress bows beneath you. It accepts your shape. In return, the bed tells you to stay. It creates a pocket for you. It hugs the hips. It supports the shoulders. It is a silent negotiation. You give it away. The bed gives you comfort. The agreement is signed in silence. In this sense, we see that we are always in conversation with the world, and tonight the message is one of total, unconditional support. Every celestial body is a sphere of influence where its gravity rules. Outside this bubble, the sun rules. Inside, the planet rules. Your room is your sphere. The noise of the city dominates the outside. But here, you are the center. The walls define your orbit. The noise cannot cross the threshold. You are the primary mass. The air is still because you are still. The shadows wait for you. You have created a private universe. The laws of the outside do not apply. You could say that sleep is a sovereign territory, a kingdom of one where the only force that matters is the heavy, rhythmic pull of your own breath. When a planet forms, heavy elements sink to the center while lighter materials float to the surface. This is called planetary differentiation. It is why the core is iron and the crust is rock. Your body follows this ancient logic tonight. The heavy thoughts of the day are sinking. They move deep into the subconscious. They settle at the bottom of the mind. The lighter dreams float up. The surface of your sleep is airy and soft. The density is below you. You are layering yourself. The foundation is solid. In this sense, we see that sleep is a sorting process, allowing the heavy weights to sink out of sight so that the spirit can float weightless on the surface of the dark. Gravity travels at the speed of light. If the sun disappeared, we would continue to orbit for 8 minutes. You would not know it was gone. There is a delay in the laws of physics. Tonight, the worries of the world are vanishing. But you still feel their pull. This is the delay. Wait for it to pass. The signal is fading. The old orbit is breaking. You are drifting into a new space. The light is gone out. The gravity of the stress is catching up to the truth. It is gone. It is a reminder that the past often holds us for a moment longer than necessary, but eventually, the silence arrives and the path becomes new. The solid ground rises and falls by several inches every day due to the moon. We call them earth tides. The concrete beneath your building is breathing. The foundation is flexible. You think you are lying on a static surface. You are not. You are riding a slow wave of rock. The planet is stretching. It is a massage for the crust. You are moving with the stone. It is imperceptible. It is deep. The rigidity of the world is an illusion. Everything yields. This reveals that even the hardest things in the universe are soft at heart, bending in a slow rhythm to accommodate the celestial dance of the sky. In deep space, there is no up or down. These directions are created entirely by gravity. If you turn off the gravity, the room has no floor. You are currently defining the floor by your position. You lie parallel to the pole. You have neutralized the vertical. You are neither standing up nor hanging down. You are horizontal. You have canceled the direction of the day. The axis is flat. The hierarchy of height is gone. You are level with the world. You could say that lying down is an act of equality, a removal of status and direction until we are simply matter existing in a quiet, directionless void. Dark energy pushes the universe apart, while gravity tries to pull it together. It is a cosmic tug of war. For billions of years, gravity held the line. Now the expansion is winning. But here, in this room, gravity wins. The expansion is for the empty voids. The connection is for you. Your arms stay together. Your home stays together. You are a victory of gravity. You are a stronghold against the drift. The emptiness cannot enter here. The bond is too tight. It is a reminder that in a universe that is expanding outward, the simple act of staying whole is a triumph of nature's oldest force. The space between stars is filled with thin gas and dust. Gravity slowly gathers this material into clouds. It is a patient collection. It takes eons. Your sleep is a gathering time. The standard energy of your life is drifting back. It is condensing. You are not doing anything. You are just waiting. The gravity of the self is working. The cloud is forming. It will become a star in the morning. But for now, it is just dust in the dark. This reveals that doing nothing is a vital part of creation, allowing the invisible forces to gather fuel we need to burn bright when the sun returns. At the beginning of time, all matter was compressed into a single point of infinite density. There was no space between things. We were all one in jet. Gravity remembers this unity. It tries to return us to that state. It pulls you toward the earth. It pulls the earth toward the sun. It is a longing for the beginning. When you hug the blanket, you are mimicking this compression. You are closing the gaps. You are reducing the distance. You are returning to the source. In this sense, we see that the heaviness we feel is not a burden, but a memory of a time when everything in the universe was held in a single, perfect embrace. A spacecraft can use the gravity of a planet to gain speed without burning fuel. This is called a gravity assist. The ship falls toward the planet and borrows a fraction of its momentum. You are doing this now. You are swinging around the heavy planet of sleep. You are not using your own fuel. You are letting the massive size of the night accelerate you. You glide through the dark curve. You will emerge on the other side faster. You will be ready for the morning. The momentum is a gift. You take it without effort. It is a reminder that we do not always need to push to move forward. Sometimes we only need to fall into the orbit of something greater to find the speed we need. In zero gravity, a candle flame becomes a perfect blue sphere. Hot air does not rise because there is no oil. The fire stays close to the wick. The flame is round. Close your eyes and watch your inner fire. The urgency to rise is gone. The ambition to climb fades. Your energy curls into a ball. It is self-contained. It glows softly in the center of your chest. It is efficient. It wastes nothing. There is no flicker in this windless place. In this sense, we see that when we stop striding against the pull of the world, our spirit finds its truest, most perfect shape, glowing steadily in the quiet center of the void. A teaspoon of a neutron star weighs 6 billion tons. Gravity compresses the atoms until they touch. It creates a density that defies logic. Your sleep is dense tonight. It is not light or porous. It is heavy with rest. The hours are bedtime. The dreams are solid. You are compressing the recovery of a lifetime into a single night. Do not fear the weight. It is the weight of substance. It is the weight of existence. This reveals that value is not found in size, but in depth, and the heaviest moments of silence contain the mass of an entire universe waiting to be born. The earth is not a perfect sphere. It is bumpy and uneven. Gravity hugs these imperfections without judgment. It pulls on the mountains and the trenches alike. Your day was uneven. You made mistakes. You had rough edges. Gravity does not care. It pulls you down regardless. It holds the complex parts of you just as tight as the smooth parts. The bed accepts your shape. The pillow accepts your head. You are wanted here. You could say that the laws of nature are unconditional, embracing the flawed and the broken with the same steady force that holds the oceans in their beds. Sometimes the brain misinterprets deep muscle relaxation as falling. It sends a sharp signal to the limbs. You twitch. It is called a hypogenic jerk. It is a question your body asks the dark. Am I safe? The answer is yes. You are on the beam. Gravity has you. You are not in a tree. You are not on a cliff. You can let go of the reflex. The fall is an illusion. The safety is real. The ground is right there. It is a reminder that even when our instincts signal that we are losing control, the solid reality of the earth is always there to catch us before we drift too far. You weigh less at the equator than you do at the poles. The rapid spinning of the earth tries to throw you off. Gravity works to keep you on. The faster you spin, the lighter and more unstable you become. Today you spun fast. You were busy. You felt light and scattered. Now the spinning stops. You are moving to the quiet pole of the night. You are becoming heavy again. You are regaining your substance. The centrifugal force of the world dies down. You stick to the earth. In this sense, we see that slowing down allows us to feel our true weight, reconnecting us with the ground that was trying to hold us all along. Mass is a measure of how difficult it is to change an object's motion. A heavy object wants to stay still. This is called inertia. Tonight you are increasing your inertia. You are becoming hard to move. The alarm will work to wake you. The noise will work to stir you. This is good. You are building a fortress of stillness. You are anchoring yourself in the timeline. The world rushes by. You remain. The stone in the river does not swim. It stays. This reveals that there is a profound strength in simply refusing to move, a power in the heavy inertia of rest that commands the rushing world to flow around you. Einstein proved that gravity and acceleration are indistinguishable to the observer. If you were in a closed room accelerating upward, you would feel pressed into the floor. You are in a room that is not moving, yet you feel the press. It is the same physical sensation. The earth pushes you up against the weight of the sky. Your back meets the mattress. The force is constant. It does not shudder. It does not stop. You are being carried. You are traveling without moving. The bed is your vessel. This reveals that stillness is actually a powerful motion, a constant journey where the forces of the universe hold us firmly in place while we travel safely through time. Gravity allows stars to burn by compressing hydrogen gas until it fuses into helium. Without this immense pressure, the sun would go dark. The light you see is a result of the heavy weight. Your own warmth comes from the inside. A heavy blanket struck the heat. The pressure of the room keeps the cold away. You are a small sun in the darkness. The weight sustains the fire. The compression is necessary to keep you alive. It is a reminder that the heavy pressures of life are what allow us to shine, creating a warm center that glows steadily against the vast, cold backdrop of the void. Gravity pulls matter into the most efficient shape possible, which is the sphere. It has the smallest surface area for its volume. It protects the center. Raindrops are spheres. Planets are spheres. You curl up in the dark. You round your bed. You tuck your knees. You are mimicking the planets. You are reducing your surface area. You are hiding your center. The geometry of sleep is round. You are a self-contained world. In this sense, we see that we are designed to fold in on ourselves, finding safety in the curved shape that protects the soft heart from the sharp edges of the night. The column of air above your head weighs thousands of kilograms. Gravity holds this column in place against the surface. You do not feel it because your internal pressure pushes back. You are in balance with the sky. The air presses in from all sides. It wraps you tight. Tonight, you can stop pushing. The air will hold you together. The blanket adds another layer. You are swaddled in physics. You are tight and safe. You could say that the world embraces us with a firm force, but because we are strong enough to bear it, it feels like a gentle hug. In the early universe, giant planets drifted through the solar system before settling into stable orbits. They moved until they found a quiet place. They cleared the path. You have drifted all day. You moved through the noise. You migrated from task to task. Now you found your stable orbit. The bed is the place where you stop. The migration is over. The path is clear. You settle into the groove. The movement ceases. It is a reminder that wandering is only temporary, and eventually, every heavy body finds a quiet place to rest in the harmony of the system. An objective freefall follows a straight line through curved space called a geodesy. It requires no energy to follow this path. It is the path of least resistance. Sleep is your geodesy. You are not staring anymore. You are following the natural curve of the night. The mind stops making choices. The will stops resisting the curve. You simply go where the gravity takes you. The slide is smooth. The destination is certain. This reveals that the easiest path is often the truest one, leading us effortlessly down the slopes of silence to the place where we need to be. When the black holes merge, they send a silent ripple through the fabric of the universe. It passes through everything without touching it. It is a memory of a great event. The day has left triples in you. The conversation, the noise, the silence. The silence is the place where you are. 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 The They are passing through your body, but they are fading. The amplitude decreases. The wave stretches out. It becomes flat. The water of the mind comes down. The event is over. The echo is dying. You are left in the quiet wake. In this sense, we see that all disturbances eventually smooth out, leaving behind a stillness that is deeper and more profound than the noise that came before. If you travel to the exact center of the earth, you will float. The mass of the planet surrounds you at all sides. It pulls equally from every direction. The forces cancel each other out. You would have no way. You would have no direction. In your bed, you are seeking the center. The worries of the left cancel the worries of the right. The past balances the future. You are in the middle. The noise surrounds you but does not move you. You are suspended in the eye of the storm. This reveals that at the core of every heavy weight, there is a 0 point, a hidden place of total weightlessness where the soul can rest without being pulled. Time flows faster where gravity is weak. The satellites in the sky age faster than you do. Down here, close to the heavy crust, time is thick. It moves like slow syrup. You are lying as low as possible. You have brought your head down to the level of your heart. You are immersing yourself in the slowest time. The rush of the satellites does not matter. You are not in a hurry. You are letting the heavy gravity stretch the seconds. The night becomes long. The urgency fades. It is a reminder that the ground is a preserver of time, slowing the ticking clock so that we can linger a little longer in the healing silence of the dark. As light climbs out of a deep gravity well, it loses energy and turns weak. This is called gravitational redshift. The light becomes tired. It stretches out. Your thoughts are trying to climb out of the sleep gravity. They are heavy. They struggle to rise. As they reach the surface of your mind, they lose their power. They shift into a lower frequency. The sharp blue light of activity turns into a soft, warm glow. The details blur. The energy is gone. The thought falls back down. In this sense, we see that the pull of rest is a filter, stripping the energy from our worries until they are too weak to shine, leaving us in a dim and comfortable peace. On the grander scale, the geometry of the universe is flat. The lines of light travel straight forever. There is no final curve. You are mimicking this. You lie flat on the mattress. You and CUR on the spine. You align your body with the horizon. You are parallel to the ground. The twisting logic of the day straightens out. And not tonight. You are becoming a plane. The geometry of the self simplifies. There are no corners to hide in. There are no steep hills to climb. You could say that lying flat is the most honest position, a return to the simple, infinite plane that stretches out beneath the stars. Satellites in low orbit encounter thin traces of air. This creates drag. They slowly lose their speed. They spiral inward. They eventually land. You are in orbital decay. The friction of the day has slowed you down. You cannot maintain your altitude. You are sinking closer to the surface. The high flight is over. You are coming in for a landing. Do not fight the descent. The spiral is gentle. The ground is waiting to catch you. The heat of the enter is cooling. This reveals that falling is not an ending, but a natural return, a slow surrender to the gravity that has been waiting patiently for you to come home. More than half of all stars are born in pairs. They are bioresistant. They are never alone. They swing around each other in the dark. They are bound by gravity. Tonight, You are part of a binary system. It is you and the silence. You orbit each other. The silence leans on you. You lean on the silence. The balance is perfect. You move together through the hours. There's a rhythm to the partnership. You do not need to speak. The bond is gravitational. It is a reminder that connection is the default state of nature, and even in the deepest solitude, we are always dancing with the quiet presence of the universe. Our galaxy flows within a massive structure called Rhythmic. It means immeasurable heaven. It is a river of 100,000 galaxies. Gravity guides this river. We are all flowing toward the same valley in space. You are drifting in your room. The room is drifting in the city. The city is drifting in the galaxy. The galaxy is drifting in the supercluster. You are part of a giant stream. You are not stagnant. You are moving towards something vast. The current is gentle but strong. In this sense, we see that we are all travelers in an immense heaven, carried by the deep currents of gravity toward a destination we cannot see but can trust. And so, we drift to the end of our quiet journey through the invisible embrace of gravity. It is the silent architect of the cosmos, the force that keeps the moon dancing with the earth and the oceans tucked safely in their beds. It is not a weight that burdens us, but an anchor that belongs to us. In a vast, infinite universe, gravity is the gentle promise that you are held, that you have a place where you belong, grounded, connected, and endlessly secure against the turning world. If you enjoy these quiet journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. There is nothing left to calculate, nothing left to do. Just breathe. Let your eyes grow heavy. Let the constant, gentle pull of gravity cradle your dreams. Good night.